If there is something you really want to give yourself, like a day off or some time, what would you need to do, or who would you need to show up as today in order to honor that version of yourself, in order to grow your business from a place of alignment rather than a place of hustle? Welcome back to She Rises. My name's Krista Daniluz Vieira, and I am excited to be here today. It is December 17th. We're kind of in the middle of that month of the year where everything is amping up, even though most people's energy is feeling like slowing down. And this is really kind of what I want to talk to you about today, is noticing natural rhythm. Sometimes there's this pressure from the outside world or the people around us or the circumstances that we find ourselves in that says it's time to act, it's time to get busy, it's time to do. And the question that I really want to ask you is that what feels authentic for you in this moment? Does that actually feel nourishing and grounding? And for some of you, you might say, yeah, you know what, I'm good to pick up my energy and I'm good to pick up my pace. Maybe you have a really consistent routine going on right now that supports you in being grounded and being able to produce, while at the same time you're nourishing yourself from the inside out and honoring your natural rhythms. But for many of us, there's this pressure that comes in, and it can be really challenging to navigate all of the different energies coming in from the outside. The pressure to get together for social occasions, or to see family, or to be purchasing things, or over consuming, or blowing budgets, or all of those types of things start to come up right now. And if we don't have systems in our life in place that support us in maintaining balance in this time, I think of like a good system in life is really a good boundary. And so when you have a boundary that supports you, if you have a system that supports you, it helps you achieve balance, because you're only going to go as far as your boundary. You're not going to go further than that. But for many of us, when we get into this season, there's a lot of extra pressure. And so we have to dig really deep to find out what feels good. And to be able to live into that authentically, where it's not creating more of an inner conflict or an outer conflict, and it feels more aligned. So this is really where it's so important to come back to ourselves and say, what really feels nourishing right now? Does it actually feel good in the season of rest to be working so hard or putting out so much energy and effort? If we look cyclically at the year, and I'm not like a person, I'm not a astrologist or anything like that, but if we look at the year, we've got spring, which is the time of renewal and growth and seeds being planted, and it's a very active time. Spring is very active. The whole world is waking back up. It's becoming alive again. It's blooming, it's growing, it's refreshing. And there's this energy that comes along with it, where we start looking at our closets like, ooh, maybe I want to clean that out. Or we start to, try new things. We get outside a little bit more. So it's very much an active time of the year, and it's an active time for us as people. And in summer, it's actually a time of rest. Once all the seeds are sown, there's nothing to do except water them, let the sunlight hit them, and give them time to actually grow. So it's also counterintuitive, because sometimes in summer we're more active, especially here. I'm in Alberta right now, and so where we are, we have a very short summer season. We really try to make the most of it. So there's a lot of go energy. This is also a very dry climate and can be quite hot in the summertime sometimes. And because of that, you can also get a little bit of that burnout going on. So we want to notice, what pressures are coming in, or what do I feel inspired to do? Is that actually in alignment with my natural rhythm, or is it not? And then fall is actually an active time. It's where we're harvesting all of the seeds that we've sown. It's where farmers are getting out into their fields and starting to bring everything in. It's a time of preparation for a time of rest. And of course, rest is what comes after, and that is winter. And right now we are in winter. And so the natural inclination is to go into a space of restoration, reflection, allowing yourself to tap into your intuitive nature, starting to notice your rhythms, your patterns, that hibernation mode. Sometimes we don't feel like going out, and then we feel guilty when we don't, because there's that expectation of us. And whether the expectation is coming from outside of us or whether it's coming from inside of us, we can start to negotiate with our own inner knowing here. And so this, if you're applying this to business, here's another way of looking at it. You can set yourself up for success by doing a lot of the planning and the activation and putting in the motion of systems that are going to automate or work their way through the winter, so that in the winter you can actually personally do less in your business and still have it function and still have it being active, rather than being like, okay, now it's winter and I need to do all of this stuff, which might not feel aligned at that time. So this is where we want to look and say, am I overextending myself right now? And is it because of, an external pressure? Is it because I feel like I'm supposed to, or I'm expected to, or am I putting that pressure on myself? Where is that pressure actually coming from? Let's be really, really honest. If the pressure is coming from outside of me, is that an agreement I want to make? Do I want to keep giving circumstances and people outside of me their permission to override my own inner knowing of what would feel good right now and what would be authentic? Or, is that pressure, coming from inside of me? Am I holding myself to a standard that doesn't actually feel aligned? Am I holding myself to an agreement that doesn't actually work for me? Where is it coming from? And is there a way to do it differently? Is there a way that I can start to navigate my life where there's an intuitive knowing, there's an inner listening going on? And we start to bring that as the foundation for how to be in this moment. So for example, if you set yourself up in your business to be like, go, 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 busy, busy, busy through December and into January, when your natural inclination is to rest, you can expect that you're going to be stretching a little bit beyond your boundaries, which might bring in things like sickness. It might lead to burnout. It might lead to exhaustion or resentment of the business, or just not feeling like the business is aligned. Is there anything wrong with the business? Maybe not, but the feeling is going to be, this isn't the right thing. It's not the right fit. It's not the right time, when really it's just, I'm not going about it in a way that's nourishing me and that's authentic for me. Now, I want to be really mindful here, not to say stop working. That's not what this is about at all. It's about being really intentional about what we're doing in the world, about the moves that we're making, about the things that we're entertaining. Are we leaving enough space in our day-to-day life so that we can be rested, nourished, so that we can enjoy the things that we say yes to, so that we feel aligned with the things that we say no to? Are we giving ourselves that permission? And in general, this is available any moment for us to reflect on and for us to participate in. But this is just a really good moment where we can really see the imbalance, because there is so much of an amping up before Christmas. There's a lot of marketing that's coming out. There's the Black Friday situation. There's all of that stuff that's just coming at us from every angle, from every marketing angle, with this idea of what it's supposed to be like. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there's still all of this marketing and this energy and this hustle, hustle, hustle. We don't slow down with the season, we hustle through it. And so that is something that we can choose personally, individually, even within our families, if we choose to change that. If that rhythm is not aligned, then it's a good opportunity for us to say, is that something I want to perpetuate, or is there another way? And if there's another way, let me brainstorm, like, what would I love that to look like? What do I really want to experience over the holidays this year? Am I going to be taking some time off? Is there going to be some downtime with me and my family? Am I going to take time to enjoy, even to celebrate the life I've created so far, where I'm going? Am I going to pre-pave some of the things that I want to see in the months to come? What am I doing to really nourish myself? What am I doing to really uphold a different idea of not just idea of like what life is like, but to bring in a concept or to bring in a new ideology, so that I'm not just repeating patterns that everyone else is repeating that don't actually serve me, that don't actually honor me. And so we get to write our own history. We get to write our own story going forward. We get to decide if we're going to participate and let the status quo run our nervous systems, run ourselves, run our lives, run our businesses, or if we're going to bring that energy from somewhere else. So this is really an outside in versus an inside out concept. And if you haven't heard of that before, I'll break it down just a little bit. So basically, most of us are living life from the outside in. We see what other people expect. We hear what our family wants. The business has a certain perspective. We see certain things on social media, news, and this all informs us as to how we should be It gives us the guiding point of what we're going to focus on today, how we're going to show up, with what energy, what does everybody want from us, even if it doesn't feel aligned. And a lot of times we tend to cow to that. We tend to bend to that. We try to fit ourselves into that mold because it's easier to do that. We've been programmed to do that rather than to do what feels truly aligned, or to even ask ourselves a question, to sit down and take the time to figure out what's truly aligned. So most of us don't go into the alignment. We go into this is the expectation, this is the need. And then in order to justify it, we come up with the reasons or the excuses or this is why I have to do it this way. We make it an absolute where we can't go against it for whatever reason. And most people will agree with us because they're doing the same thing. But there is another way to do this, and that's an inside out perspective. And that's where when something happens on the outside, there's a circumstance or somebody's asking something of us, we take it inside and we say, is that truly what I would love? Or does that really feel aligned? I see the sense in it, or I see that would be a good thing, but there's like a couple of things I want to negotiate in that so that it feels like a really authentic agreement that I'm making with the world. And so we start to lead from the inside, which means that we might find that there are moments of friction that come up, but we also can learn in those moments to say, you know what, if it's truly in my best interest and truly in the interest of the other people, if I'm really considering other people, then I'm going to want to do what's authentic for me. And I'm going to honor and support them in doing what's authentic for them. This becomes a win-win scenario. A lot of people out there are looking for permission to just be themselves because the world has told them how to be. And the world has told us who we should be, what we should show up as, what our businesses should look like, what our families should look like, what kind of moms we need to be, how we're supposed to be raising our kids, all of this stuff. And a lot of times we question it, but we don't really know that everybody else is questioning it too. And we don't know what to do with it because everybody's doing the status quo. So this is your permission to question, and to question the things that don't feel aligned, and to start asking ourselves deeper questions and start to dig deeper into figuring out who we really are and what we really want. Because when we do that, and then our friends do that, and then our families do that, and that ripple effect starts to cascade out into the rest of the world, what we notice is that everyone is looking for permission to just be. And when we accept other people as themselves, and other people begin to accept us as ourselves without the masks and without everything looking perfect and without that expectation or thinking that it needs to be perfect, because let's be honest, we're humans, and perfection is not what we're striving for. We're striving for progress, if anything. We're striving for maybe being a little bit better than we were yesterday, comparing against no one outside of us, but maybe just looking at like, who was I yesterday? Can I make even more aligned choices today with my heart and my soul and with what's important to me? Can I honor those natural rhythms? Can I give myself a day off when I need to rest? Can I allow myself to ask my partner for support when I'm not feeling great? Can I lean on the people around me? Can I also be a support for them when they need it? Can they know that I'm a safe haven? And you know, just look at your life and think of the relationships that feel the most life-giving. They're probably the ones where you don't have to put on a mask and where people truly accept you the way that you are. And that is really, you know, that really gives us back to ourselves. It gives us the freedom to just be us. And really freedom is what's on the other side of fear. I talked about this with Alethea in a previous episode, but on the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of what we're afraid of, the rejection we're afraid of, the confrontation or the conflict that we're afraid of, is us just being able to be ourselves, really authentically, gently, quietly even. And so then other people get to be themselves too. And there is nothing more freeing than being in the company of people who love you just the way that you are and appreciate you just the way that you are, with all of your flaws, with all of your multitude of personalities, with all of your different dynamics. That's really what friendship and community and family really comes down to. So if we are really to go from the inside out, and we start to pause before we act, and we start to listen to our own wisdom and insight, we start to notice, hey, there are some patterns that I live into that don't honor my natural rhythms or don't honor who I really am. There are also some patterns that I have that might keep me slow, that are not really helping me grow. So we don't want to like go too far into one extreme. We want to really notice, like, where am I holding myself back? Because being really like, I'm resting, I'm slow, I'm being quiet, I'm not engaging, that can also be something that's holding us back. So we want to really notice the subtleties here. And this is your permission to really just truly trust yourself as you go through this season. If there are patterns that you live out in your family or in your business or in your friend groups that are not aligning for you, if there is something you really want to give yourself, like a day off or some time with a specific person or some time to just be, this is really it. Like, this is your moment. So what would you need to do, or who would you need to show up as today in order to honor that version of yourself, in order to grow your business from a place of alignment rather than a place of hustle? What does that look like? What do you want that to feel like? Take some time. And I encourage you to write it down, journal it, brainstorm, get really creative, give yourself space. And or if you're a thinker, if you're more an internal worker, sit with it. Sit with your coffee or your tea. Look at the snow, look out the window, dream a little bit. Imagine, what would it be like if I was just in alignment this month and I wasn't putting unnecessary pressure on myself? What would that look like? What would that feel like? How would I show up? So I hope that this resonated with you today. This is not just for this moment. This is something that we can carry into any moment where we notice ourselves following patterns or routines or rituals within society that are not aligned. Nobody gets ahead by doing the things that everybody else does. You start to find yourself moving forward and making not just personal progress, but also different moves in the world when you follow your intuition and your natural rhythm. It is your uniqueness and your creativity and the fact that you're different that actually sets you apart and that gives you something to offer to the world that is unique and helping all of us move forward. So honor that, my friends. And I hope that you have a really wonderful, restful, and expansive month ahead of you and into the new year. If you enjoyed this, I invite you to like this video, subscribe, share with a friend who maybe needs to slow down or take a moment to just breathe and be themselves and honor that inner wisdom and inner guidance that we all have. So I'll see you on the next episode.